Guys, we are on a quest to beat every English PS1 game that was ever made. That's right, every last one of them. From the fan favorites like Crash Bandicoot and Resident Evil, to the Disney releases like Hercules and Monsters Inc. Yes, we're even going to play that too. This journey will be hard and long. Oh, wait, I didn't mean it like that. The path to completion will be firm and massive. I hope you can join us on this epic journey as we monitor stress levels and lock in for an intense ride to a PS1 completionist. Game number 1 is going to be Disney's Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. Toy Story 2 was released on November 17, 1999, a whopping 24 years ago on PS1, Nintendo 64, and PC. It was developed by a British company called Traveller's Tales. As the years passed after its initial release, it also released on PS3, PS4, and PS5, as well as the PSP as a downloadable game. Wait. Before we start, can we just... it gets me every time. When you load into the game, you are greeted upon a nice blue start menu. Pretty simple design with nothing over the top. When you start the game, it must just be one mode because it never gave an option for easy, normal, or hard. But anyways, regardless, this game puts you in level 1 at Andy's house. You are immediately in action against these robots and toys that are constantly trying to end you. You have an option of shooting them with your laser shooter, or either by doing this really cool spin move that makes you get close, but it does a lot more damage. After you defeat the toys, and as you walk around Andy's bedroom, you begin to notice all the platforms and things that you can jump on. Things are placed around the room to easily let the player know it's going to be a lot of parkour that's going to have to be achieved to reach certain objectives. It lets you know that things can be pushed to make bridges and teaches you how to double jump. When you make it to the crib while sliding on the zipline, the game lets you know that you can shoot certain things with accuracy if you go into first person by holding down the right trigger. This allows locks to be shot off so you can escape or open up certain areas. The crib also has a green Buzz Lightyear coin which gives you an extra life when picked up. As we went through the house, we were shown more and more tutorials like climbing, swinging on bars to make it to certain platforms, and it shows you batteries which gives you more HP. In the attic of Andy's house, we confront our first mini-boss of the game. At first, I was struggling a little bit to defeat the robot mini-boss because he wasn't taking any damage from my laser shooter or my spin move. Upon further inspection though, the robot would run out of gas at certain points during the fight, and that's when you had to make your attack. Once the robot was defeated, a pizza token appeared on the screen and it became clear that's what had to be collected throughout the levels. Also scattered throughout the levels were a bunch of golden coins. At first, I didn't know what to do with these coins. I figured it would take the Mario route to where if you collected like 100 it would give you an extra life or something. Well, that's until I ran into Ham on the living room couch. Ham told me that if I gave him 50 coins, then he would give me another pizza token. Running into Ham probably meant there were multiple characters scattered throughout the levels that I had to do objectives for, and with that in mind, I continued to search. Walking into the kitchen, Bo Peep was on the kitchen table and she asked me to find her 5 missing sheep. I remembered back in the attic there was a golden sheep all the way at the top that I picked up. Again, like the coins, I had no idea though what their use was, but I knew it was probably something important. Using the obstacles throughout the house, I found all 5 sheep, but some were harder to get than others. Bo Peep had mentioned that if I found all 5 sheep, then she would give me another pizza token, and that's exactly what she did when I returned them to her. When entering the basement, you run into Mr. Potato Head, and his mission to you is to find his missing ear. I don't understand why Mr. Potato Head lost his ear, but I'm not going to ask him any questions. He says if I find his ear, I can unlock his cosmic shield ability to use in future predicaments. Heading into the garage, you run into a toy car that challenges you to a race, and if you win it, it will also give you a pizza token. This race was really simple to do because the car couldn't even outrun Buzz Lightyear's walking speed. This was by far the easiest pizza token to achieve yet. Having collected all 5 pizza tokens, I elected to quit playing this level and went ahead and jumped into level 2, which was titled Andy's Neighborhood. After the first level, I had a good idea on what to expect next. Each level would have characters scattered all over the map that gave me tasks, and completing each task would grant me a pizza token in which there were 5. Sounds simple enough, well, until...
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
You start in the backyard of Andy's house, and just like the previous level, there is someone asking for help to find something. A green army dude asks that you find his 5 lost infantrymen that had been lost in battle. Each infantryman is in a relatively easy spot. Something cool though was one of the infantrymen was hiding in a few foxholes in a backyard, and you had to stomp on the holes to smoke them out and make him surrender. I thought this was a pretty cool minigame. There was a huge tree located at the center of a neighborhood by a swing set. You had to climb up ropes and swing on bars to work all the way up to the top of the tree. This is where I really began to notice that some of the grabbing mechanics weren't really as crisp and clean as you would want them to be. A lot of times it seemed that I was latching onto the bars, but I fell over and over and over and over and over again. This tree really began to test my patience, and I really didn't want to have to buy another controller today. 21 falls later, we reached the top of the tree, and we were met with a boss that resembled a kite. To defeat the boss, you had to zoom into first person and shoot him with your laser while also dodging his attack, in which made me fall over and over and over and over again. By this point, I already had my wall picked out where I wanted to throw my controller, but I controlled myself. Finally, the boss got defeated, and that's one more pizza token we gathered. We paid Ham another visit and gave him his 50 coins, and also raced the car again around another track. But this time, it was far more difficult than the first time. The car was way faster than the first level, and after failing once or 5 times, I realized you had to step in front of the car to stop him from passing you. We returned the infantrymen to the Green Army Man and gathered the last 2 pizza tokens of the level. After level 2 in the neighborhood, we had our first main boss fight. It was called Bombs Away, and it was an airplane that flew around trying to drop bombs and shoot you while you shot it back with a laser. I was really disappointed in this first boss fight because it was literally the easiest and least difficult thing we faced yet. Even climbing the tree was a harder challenge than this fight. Level 4, the construction yard, and level 5, alleys and gullies, were pretty simple and easy to do. But the mini boss on the construction yard was a jackhammer, and you had to shoot him with these cool discs that Mr. Potato Head gives you for finding his nose. I don't know what it is with him losing all of his body parts, but he is starting to become suspicious. Also, there was a cool minigame where you had to mix paint cans to get the right color, and once you did, you would get another pizza token. The minigames in these levels weren't actually that bad, and were actually pretty creative. I'm pretty sure the alleys level was one of the smallest in the game, and just like the tree in level 2, this level brought my stress to a big time high. For some reason, a lot of the grabbing mechanics didn't want to work as intended either here. Man, I'm really going to have to buy another controller soon. Nevertheless though, we got the needed pizza tokens and moved on to level 6. Level 6 was another boss battle. The battle was called Slime Time. This boss fight wasn't that bad, it was pretty simple. All you had to do was shoot this slime looking creature in a trash can, and every time you took a quarter of his health, he would get bigger and would also get faster, but if you hit him enough, he would shrink back down in size. Level 7 was called Owl's Toy Barn, and this was by far my favorite level. In Owl's Toy Barn, you got to use the rocket boots, in which makes you go super fast and ramp over obstacles. There is also a really cool minigame that allows you to use a skateboard and a trampoline to find one of the missing chickens for the chicken lady. With level 7 being my favorite, I think that level 8 Owl Spaceland was actually the most difficult. That's because this level had a bunch of jump puzzles that would easily make you fall. Of course they would put an alien up here that you would have to rescue. We also get introduced to our new enemy being a very big robot with a shield. For the longest time I had no idea how to defeat these guys because the lasers wouldn't do any damage, so I would just run around them to avoid them. But all you had to do was do a spin move and they would easily be defeated. You had to race this alien creature in a UFO on a bunch of zip lines. This was also difficult. Like many other levels, the grabbing mechanics sometimes just wouldn't work, which led me to have to restart the race over multiple times. Level 9 was named Toy Barn Encounter, and here we would fight our third main boss of the game. It had 6 tentacle arms that had yellow capsules on them. Each capsule contained a common enemy that had to be defeated in order for the fight to continue. Once all the tentacles were detached, we had to shoot the UFO creature with our supercharged laser, which only took 2 hits to defeat him. Level 10 wasn't a pushover either. It took a close second place as being the most difficult level. It having the name Elevator Hop made it pretty self-explanatory on how it was going to play out. A bunch of the level had you jumping between elevator shafts to reach the tippity top. Before you could do that though, you had to go turn on the power to each of the 2 elevators. We also get introduced to the grapple hook ability at this point. Of course though, before we could use it, we had to find yet another one of Mr. Potato Head's body parts. I'm kind of afraid of what could come next with this guy. Once obtained, we were able to grapple through vent shafts near the elevators that would allow us to reach the power switches and find more lost items for the characters. We would eventually reach the top after scaling the elevators and would have to fight yet another mini-boss, a giant spider with a huge laser on its back like a turret. Honestly, this boss fight was kind of annoying, not because it was hard, but because the room was so small and the camera angle would never face the boss and would only face away from it. I noticed that on a lot of levels though, where the camera would always change direction randomly. Level 11 is Owl's Penthouse, and I'm pretty sure this is one of the biggest maps in the game. Owl's Penthouse introduces us to Jessie, and Jessie needs us to find her 5 missing critters. These missing critters look like either kangaroos or large rabbits, and I honestly can't tell. Who knew Jessie had pet kangaroos? Scattered around the level are these big cannons that shoot bombs at you when trying to get over obstacles, and this is honestly one of the more annoying things I've witnessed in this game yet. This level also has a pretty unique minigame where you have to stop a toy train from going around the tracks, and if you do, another pizza token is awarded. It took a little time for me to get the hang of it, but you have to slam on buttons to point the tracks in the right direction to make the train hit a dead end track. After a few experimental tries, we stopped the train and got the token. After getting all 5 tokens in the penthouse, it was time to take on the evil Emperor Zurg at level 12. Now, I had wasted a bunch of my lives up to this point, and I was in a pretty bad spot. I had 0 lives left with 25 HP, and I had to fight Zurg. I gave it a go a few times, and once I realized that I was going to take at least a little bit of damage, I had to go to previous levels to get a few lives so I wouldn't be in a constant game over screen. Once I got the extra lives, I returned and gave Zurg all I had. Lasers wouldn't do damage to him, so you had to hit him with a spin move at certain times while he shot bouncy green balls at you. The balls tracked your every move and would smack you for decent damage. Some balls couldn't be avoided, and that's why I needed the extra lives. We eventually ended Zurg's terror and moved on to the next level. Level 13 is titled Airport Infiltration. This level is also one of the easiest. One of the main focuses is to scale to the top of the belt conveyors and reach the prospector boss, being the mini-boss. He smacks the ground, and doing that sends a shockwave that can do massive damage if he hits you. But again, like most bosses, shooting them doesn't do damage, so you have to wait for the right time and hit him with a spin move. Once you find Mr. Potato Head's mouth, yes, he actually lost his mouth, you will unlock the hover boots, which will allow you to float to higher places that you can't jump to. Doing this will allow you to get some batteries for health in some tough spots, and also help you find some of the pilot's missing passengers. Now, this level had some annoying AI. The cowboys with guns walking around, and also the flying birds became super annoying at times because they were super tanky. But in the end, we got the 5 pizza tokens again and moved on to the second to last level. Level 14 was called Tarmac Trouble, and this had to be the most visibly pleasing level. This was the only level that had a different weather, being rain, but also the rain made the level laggy at times. The level also featured an airplane that was circling the airfield at all times, and I knew at some point I was going to have to scale that plane. It seemed like it had a drunk pilot or something because all it was doing was going in circles. There was also a helicopter that had a pizza token attached to the bottom of it. To get this token, you had to do another minigame where you had to step on buttons to get a top row of lights to match the same color as the bottom row of lights. You got 3 tries, and if you failed in 3 clicks, then it would reset all the lights over again. This was fairly easy though, and the helicopter lowered and we got another pizza token. Off that same building with the chopper, we were able to jump onto the wing of the airplane. Here we were able to find one of the missing bags of luggage that were scattered all over the level, and we were also able to jump from the plane to another building to fight another mini-boss. This boss was named the Blacksmith. He had an attack that you could not avoid, but with me having a few lives, I just tanked the damage and we kept hitting him with the same spin move for the token. We also had to do Buster the Dog's challenge and run the dirt path without jumping or touching the outside of the path. We one-shot this and pretty much did it with ease. After finding the rest of the missing luggage and turning in our 50 coins, we were off to the final level. The final level was called Prospector Showdown. Here we fight the people who kept Woody and Jessie captive, and the people we were fighting happened to be 3 of the mini-bosses from the past. It was the Prospector, the Blacksmith, and the Gunslinger, but we had to fight all 3 at the same time. It took me a second to get the rhythm going, but once I did, I singled out the Blacksmith at first, then focused on the other 2 because their attacks could easily be avoided. Once they were all defeated, Woody and Jessie were saved and the credits began to roll. It was a pretty easy and depressing ending, but oh well. Now let's get to ratings. For enjoyment, the game overall was pretty average when it came to enjoyability. Everything was obviously repetitive, where you had to collect 50 coins, find 5 missing items, defeat a mini-boss, find a hidden token, or complete a race or a time trial. So I'm going to give it a mid C-. For the game mechanics, the game was pretty smooth overall, but some of the core mechanics like grabbing onto pipes to swing on, and especially the zip lines, were clunky most of the time, and caused me to fall from high places multiple times. The camera angles were also just terrible at times, some of the worst camera angles I've ever seen in a video game. The PvP was good overall, with all the shooting and the melee and the lasers, so I'm going to give the game mechanics a positive C+. For map design, for a game in 1999, the map design was pretty nice. Everything made sense, you never really were stuck wondering where do I need to go next. The levels weren't too small or too big, and I give them a B-. Overall, this game gets a C- grade, with the mechanics and camera angle being a blunt of the cons. But it could be worse. Well, that's it for this game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, leave a comment on which game I should play next. Until next time, dudes, stay classy with the classics.